Denver 8 TV, your city, your source.
My name is Jim Seidlecki. I'm the Director of Public Information for the county, and on behalf of County Manager Todd Leopold, we want to thank all of you for coming today. What we're going to do is have a list of speakers. It will begin with the chair of the ACC, Eric Hansen, who will lay out some of the terms of the agreement that you just saw struck. After that, each speaker will have just a couple of minutes to provide maybe a unique perspective on what it means to their community, and we'd be happy to open it up for questions following that. And with that, Commissioner Eric Hansen.
Good morning again. You know, it was funny, we started hinting at some things earlier, and somebody said, you know what, we haven't actually told them what the deal was yet. It occurred to me that we should probably do that. I do want to say that, today, like I already said, is a historic day. We're today to announce something that is really, truly historic. I believe personally that this is a new era of collaboration and economic development for Adams County, Denver, and frankly, the entire state of Colorado. This is the kind of thing that's not easy. It took hard work. It took persistence. It took a commitment over a multi-year process from numerous jurisdictions and entities to make this happen. So what did happen? Well, I'll tell you that really what it boils down to is that there was a strong interest from Denver to be able to maximize the economic potential at the airport, which is already, I believe, if not the greatest economic generator in the state, one of the greatest, with additional commercial development. Back in 1988, I don't think that they anticipated that there was going to be the kind of need for commercial development. In fact, talking to the actors at that time, they said, we don't want any of that. We want to be away from things because Stapleton Airport was already too crowded as it was anyway. Times change over 27 years, and economies change, the city changes, the world changes, and a lot of things have changed since 1988. So we got together and said, how do we allow additional commercial development at Denver International Airport in a true spirit of collaboration? And we decided that we would do that with a pilot program of 1,500 acres, with a 50%, 50-50 split of revenue, tax revenue associated with that development, 50% going to Denver and 50% going to Adams County and its jurisdictions. We felt that that was a collaboration that made a lot of sense, an equal partnership, a partnership between equals. In addition to that, we started talking about how do you put this together? Because a lot of people might remember in 1988, but there was actually a vote on this issue. And we felt that it was important as jurisdictions that we honor that agreement in 1988. That when people voted in 1988, they should expect a vote in 2015 on the terms of this agreement. And so you will see that in November of 2015, the voters of the people of Adams County and the people of Denver will be asked to approve the amendments to the 1988 agreement. Now, it's really kind of interesting because I'm personally struck by the year 1988 because it was such a long time ago. And actually, I would not have been eligible to vote on this issue in 1988, even though I'm almost 45 years old. It was also the year that I graduated from high school. Gas was $1.02 a gallon. The Rain Man was the #1 movie, and Ronald Reagan was president, if anybody remembers 1988, because I certainly remember it well. Those people in 1988 were visionaries. You know, we really are standing today on the shoulders of those giants, people like Federico Pena, Commissioner Steve Kramer. They promised us a world-class airport, and they did it. They brought us a world-class airport that we all can be proud of. And I'm personally proud of. Every time I fly in and out of Denver International Airport, which is probably more frequently than I would like, but I enjoy the experience every single time. This is a new era for this region. This is a new era of economic development. This is a new era of job creation. This is a new era of partnership that has never been seen before for the entire county. and actually both counties, Adams County and Denver County. Like I said, many of you, whether you be citizens of these two jurisdictions, weren't able to vote on the original agreement in 1988, like I wasn't able to vote. I didn't even live in Colorado at the time. Many of you probably weren't even born in 1988 that will be able to vote on this agreement. But this November, you're going to have an opportunity to vote for the most significant action that the metro area has taken in the last 27 years for economic and development and prosperity for the entire region. So I ask you personally, and I think we all ask you today, to consider, after careful consideration, as Adams County voters, as Denver voters, to vote for this measure. And with that, I would like to introduce my colleague, Commissioner Chaz Tedesco, the chair of the Adams County Board of County Commissioners.
I'm going to keep it brief because I know that all of you are waiting to go do other things today. But I want to tell you this, that this was a collaboration on all parts. I want to give a special thank you to Denver, Mayor Hancock, your team, Kim Day, your team. I think that working with them through this process and some of the misconceptions that we may have had, we've dealt with those. And we've come to a point now where we're all in agreement. I said before, this is a pilot program. This is a pilot program. But this is something that can grow into something much larger. Our area is set to be, in Adams County, set to be one of the fastest growing counties in the state of Colorado. We're projected to outnumber Denver by, I think it's 2030 in population. That's huge for us. We need these jobs. We need these areas for our people, our constituents to work. We need that for our people to live. But we want to take care of the important things, and that is our constituency. We want to take care of the infrastructure. We want to take care of anything that we need to take care of, the homelessness, the joblessness. We need to take care of this. This is a step forward in doing that. And we're working together for that, both the County of Denver, City and County of Denver, and the County of Adams County with all the municipalities represented here. I will tell you this, that I learned more about these municipalities than I ever thought I could. And I'm a native of Adams County. And I will tell you this, that with Mayor Joyce Downing here from North Glen, I'm a resident of North Glen, grew up in North Glen. I've lived in just about all of these municipalities represented here. The pleasure to work with these people is humbling. I will tell you that I have had better conversations with these people than I ever thought I would. And I am very honored to have worked with them to this point. The point now is we need to get this out. We need to talk about the points, and we need to have our constituency, like Commissioner Hansen said, the constituency has to have the last say in this. In 1988, they did the oatmeal tour. In 1988, it was a controversial vote. In 1988, it took a lot of people working in the same area, in the same field, and hand in hand to get this passed. I want to reiterate, we are not taking away from the 1988 agreement. This is a pilot program subject to 1,500 acres. If it changes from that, we will have to come back and talk about what that change is going to be. Right now, this agreement is 1,500 acres. It has to be approved by the constituency in City and County of Denver and in all the municipalities in Adams County and Adams County. And so with that, I just want to say that this has been a pleasure. It's a humbling experience to be here. It's an honor to be here. And I want to thank you all for being here today to listen. Thank you. It didn't come with instructions today. I would like to announce or to introduce the Mayor of Aurora, Mayor Steve Hogan.
This is an amazing day. There were points in time during this process when I was the guy who was publicly saying, wait a minute, stop, stop, stop. And I know there were points in time when Mayor Hancock was saying, what are you talking about, man? But the reality is that I'm one of those people who was here in 1988. I was on the Aurora City Council in 1988, and I remember those original negotiations. And I know why things were done the way they were done then. I also know that you don't always do everything the same way, and times change. And in Aurora, for example, and I will thank you again, Mayor Hancock, for talking about Erythropolis. Seriously, I will thank you for that, because that is what we're going toward here. It's a regional term. In Aurora, we've been working on some of those elements for a long time, whether it's Gateway Park or Majestic Commerce Center or Prologis or High Point or Single Tree. We've been working in that direction for a long time without the label. The mention of the label is what kicked this off. And it became the truly regional effort that it needed to be. And so, again, thanks for that. But we had to work our way through, and we had to occasionally say, you know what we're talking about doesn't work. But in the end, we have come up with something that I firmly believe will work, and it will provide the example for those people who hold the public offices 20, 25, 30 years from now to show that it can work, because there will be more discussions in the future. There will be more opportunities for people to say, hey, wait a minute, those folks in 2015 might have kind of sort of gotten it right, but you know what? Times have changed. And they'll be right. Times do change. But today, in 2015, I think I can stand here as the mayor of Aurora and say, look, for those of you who live in the Adams County portion of Aurora, stand up, vote yes, because this is the kind of agreement that can make the entire metropolitan area the success that it can be. We know we've got the engine. DIA is the engine. Now it's time to take advantage of it. So I would encourage everyone in Aurora to do the right thing, to vote yes. But I also, once again, want to thank everyone here for the work they've done. Commissioner Hanson was not the most popular guy with our group at times. But he deserves all the credit for hanging in there as the chairman of this committee. And there are others of us who at various points in time were also not the most popular people. But I do think that it's time for me, at least, to say publicly thank you to everyone. And if you had not hung in there, we would not be here today. So thank you. Oh, yes. And with that, I would like to introduce Mayor Sean Ford of Commerce City.
You know, it's really interesting being up here with all of my colleagues, a lot of people that I look up to, and remembering back when I was the mayor before, we had DIA partnerships, and there were these things called fuzzy circles to try to figure out how growth and development was going to happen around the airport. And, you know, not realizing that someday we would get to this point. I did have the opportunity and was very humbled by the opportunity to go with Denver and go see Japan and some of the airports internationally of what could be created here. The opportunities that stand before our region and our state for development. Commerce City continues to grow its infrastructure, widening Tower Road to 4 lanes, Highway 2 will go 4 lanes. 104th Avenue is under construction, 4 lanes. All of that's due to the airport, the need for that transportation to get people through our communities to that airport. We have a great residential base that I'm really proud of, and that also is contributed to by the airport. That airport is that economic development engine, and this will have opportunity to create manufacturing, office, different industries, and if we seed this with something like a Samsung that could benefit everybody, jobs for the residents that live in Commerce City and Adams County, and as well Denver. This is truly a partnership that could move our area forward and help us with those jobs and those needs. And we couldn't have got there without everybody that you see up here today. Every single person up here was an integral part of this happening. There were times where we met with the governor. Several of us would meet with the governor. Congressmen would talk to us, what's going on with the airport, what's happening. This is truly probably the biggest deal that I will have a part in my tenure. And I, unlike Eric, I was old enough to vote in '88, and I did support the airport. And I do have to give a shout out. I know a lot of the commissioners, the former commissioners that worked on this are here in the audience, and there are a lot of them from 1988 that are no longer with us that helped work on the original agreement. But I have my good friend Marty Flom was one of those commissioners in 1988 that's here today. So thanks for being here, Marty. I know you were worried. You were worried about what was going to happen, and were we going to destroy what you had put into place? And no, I think if anything, the folks up here helped enhance what was done in '88. And I would like to reach out to my constituents in Commerce City and ask them to support this, because I truly believe that it'll enhance their quality of life in the future. And I want to thank Rick Teeter, my councilman, who was here with me the entire time up until about a month ago. And he left me because he had to go in and have a triple bypass. But he's back with us today, and I'm really glad that he's here to see this happen. But Bob Miller, all the staff from not just our communities, but from the county, from everywhere that participated in this. The folks at the airport, the folks from Denver, the collaboration was awesome. And if we can continue that collaboration in this region, there's nothing that we can't do. So thank you very much. I'm sorry. You know what? We're all forgetting that.
Yeah, introduce.
All right. I'd like to now introduce Mayor of Brighton, Dick McLean.
I'm not as tall as the other guys, so. Hello. I'm here to speak on behalf of the collaborative effort that we've all been a part of for the last 2.5, 3 years. Seems like we'd never get through it, but we did. The team from Brighton, our city manager Manuel Escabel, city councilman J.W. Edwards, our city attorney Margaret Brubaker, and our council were the backbone behind the Brighton effort. Yes, we did get a few gray hairs over this. I had dark hair when this started a couple of years ago. Obviously, it's not dark anymore. But, competition doesn't work when you're working on a project like this. But collaborative efforts, and you've heard that time and time again. So obviously, we all believe we've worked for the same reason, to get something done. The people of Denver were on the same page. They wanted to get it done. They wanted to get this thing over with, just as bad as we did. But what does this mean to everybody? It means economic growth. It means jobs. And that's what we need. That's what we need. Brighton is the county seat, and we're proud of that. We've been the county seat since Adams County started. And we always will be. So if you that want to be county seats, you can't. We're not going to let you. So, but It's not about one city, it's about all of us, and we are a team. And thank you very much. Next, Federal Heights Mayor Joyce Thomas.
I'm going to have to stand on my tiptoes. I'll try to project. How about that? I want to thank everyone who came today. This is truly a collaborative effort. That's the word that everybody's been using. Federal Heights is a small player, but we felt it was important to be at the table to have this discussion and to have these negotiations. We as the city of Federal Heights stand behind this, and we hope our voters will as well. I do remember the vote in 1988. I was old enough to vote. So I feel that it's very important that we make sure that we stand up for the original agreement and that these term changes are only to try this pilot program of 1,500 acres and move forward after that. If everything works well, then the whole airport will get developed the way that we all see that as our vision. It may take 50 years, but some of you out there will still be here for that. And we hope that this is an effort that we're all going to be very proud of, and I believe that's true. And the next person is Mayor Heidi Williams.
So from the city of Thornton. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak for a few moments. I was on the airport coordinating committee since 2012, and I want to thank Councilmember Matt Goodman for being on the committee, not only this time, but in the past as well, and Mayor Pro Tem Vigil for stepping up and filling in. It was so time-consuming to make sure that these efforts really got underway and were resolved. And quite frankly, there were times when we were wondering, really, is this going to keep going on and on forever? But obviously, because of the collaborative efforts, as everyone else has talked about, and our staffs, all of our staffs and the attorneys and the consultants, they really made it possible for us elected officials to come up here and take credit for all of the hard work. So thank you to the staff. Thornton's boundaries do not touch DIA, but we really felt that as the largest city in this county, and as the largest or sixth largest city in Colorado, it was important for us to be here and be at the table and support our neighbors and to be regional players. We always feel like it's important to be partners in this region, and we want to make sure that we're supportive of all of the efforts that really build up economic development, and that's what this does. So I was not old enough to vote for this, but I do remember it. I grew up in Brighton, and yay, and I remember what a huge impact DIA was going to have on that community, and it has, and it's proven to continue to have huge economic impacts on this whole state. And so this is just one step forward in this process, and we do need to keep evolving and keep moving forward, and so that my kids and grandkids can benefit from all of these efforts. So thank you so much to the Thornton staff, city council members, my fellow mayors, commissioners. Thank you all for being here today for this really historic and important moment. And now I would like to introduce the CEO of DIA, Kim Day.
Well, thank you. As the only non-elected up here, I feel very privileged to have an opportunity to talk. And I'm here because this day is really about opportunity, and it is about the future of the airport and the future of the region. And it's really going to allow our airport to compete at a totally new level. We are ever increasing our global connectivity, and we are stimulating global competition already. But now we will get to do even more. Today, we leverage the fact that we're the 5th busiest airport in the United States. We had 53 million passengers last year. We have 6 runways. And now we begin to leverage our largesse, our 53 square miles of land. You know, airports all across the globe are beginning to attract new types of businesses, ones that have employees and clients that travel frequently, ones that have goods that are shipped by air. Those businesses that focus on real-time delivery, they're cropping up all over. And now we as a region can compete against those other airports, the airports in Dallas-Fort Worth, in Detroit, in Dubai, in Incheon, South Korea. We are now on the world map and able to do that. These new businesses are going to stimulate the economy. You've heard it's going to create new jobs. It's going to increase non-aviation revenue, which is so important because that's how we keep the cost of our carriers low. We're on our way. You know, our hotel is going to open in November, our 519-room Westin Hotel. The train will connect us to downtown Denver in spring of next year, and we're breaking ground on a TOD development at the Pena Boulevard Station as we speak. And this is only the beginning. Today, we are a $26.3 billion engine, and yes, Mayor Hogan, we are the largest economic engine in the state of Colorado and the region. And this agreement will let us grow and do more for the airport and for the region. And there are so many people to thank for this historic moment we're here today. The phrase says it takes a village. Well, it took an airport, a city, a county, and I got to tell you, a host of fabulous lawyers. We would not be here without the legal team that got us here today. But I got to say, most of all, it took a person with a vision, somebody who's been talking Aerotropolis long before he was a mayor, and in his first term not only demonstrated his continued vision, but his leadership to get us here. And it is my great pleasure to introduce the mayor of Denver, Michael B. Hancock.
Thank you all. Let me just say this. I am sufficiently depressed now because I was old enough to vote. And that's rare for me to say that. And not only did I vote, but I remember spending the summer of 1988 walking Adams County streets to convince people to work and to vote on this airport. And it was indeed my very first vote that I ever cast at the age of 18 for DIA. And so I'm proud that we are here at this very historic moment. Let me share this. The foundational power of why we are here is the fact that we acknowledge that we compete best as a region and not as individual cities. Since we all sat down 2.5, 3 years ago, the regions of Atlanta, Indianapolis, and Detroit have all signed agreements to develop their Aerotropolis. And the power of this region here in Colorado is that there's only one other airport in the entire world that has the land mass and opportunity that we have, and it happens to be in Saudi Arabia, Dammam Airport. We are a game changer. This deal is historic, and it is a global game changer. We rewrite the book today on what it means to enter into an industry, a new opportunity to create the world's best Aerotropolis. And so, Mayor Ford, as we went to Incheon and we looked at what they did in South Korea, and we went to Amsterdam and we looked at what they did in Schiphol, and we went to London and we saw what's going on in Heathrow. We have looked at Atlanta and Dallas-Fort Worth. As Commissioner Jan will tell you, today, Denver, our region, rearranges the deck. And this is a huge opportunity. And I'm standing here today, I got to tell you, proud to represent the people of Denver, proud to acknowledge people like Chief Financial Officer Kerry Kennedy, our Assistant City Attorney David Broadwell, Airport CEO Kim Day, Airport Deputy Legal Counsel Dan Reamer, our Chief Project Leader Evan Dreyer, who kept us all together and made sure we wouldn't, when I said I'm done, he says I'm not, let's keep going. Thank you, Evan. And yes, I acknowledge all of the mayors and commissioners who have stood up here speaking, because this was not an easy deal. This was tough. We had tough conversations. Some of the stuff we say to each other, we wouldn't say to our worst enemy. But when it came down to it, what we believed in is that we represent the people, and we've been given the ultimate trust to do what's in the best interest of the people we represent. And for not only today, not looking back on what happened in the past, but looking forward, saying we owe it to our children and our children's children to get this right, to build industries that employ them and keep this region one of the best in the world. And so I want to thank my counterparts. I want to thank my partners across the region for everything that you've done to help make this day possible. Denver is proud to stand with you. We put our past behind us. We get stronger from it, and we're going to be even better going forward. And in closing, let me just say this, and then we'll open this up. In this historic deal, which is, I believe, is a huge historic deal, this is about the evolution of our region. It's about our region's economic gem, DIA. But I am proud to tell you that there's one person in particular I want to thank, and that is Eric Hansen, who as chair of the ACC really stood up, I said it right, coordinating committee, right? Yeah. All right, ACC. Yes. I want to make sure I don't get in trouble from Chaz to Commissioner Tedesco. And just really kept this thing moving along. And I'm glad that your help improved so you can come to the table with us, and thank you for being a partner. But it doesn't take away from the contributions of everyone who was up here, but also a lot of unsung heroes who are sitting out there, who labored over this in the interims and meetings and got through the minutia. So I'm proud to stand here as a region today saying we're not, I join Commissioner Tedesco, or Odoricio, we're open for business. So let's get this party started. We'll open this up for Q&A. I think we open it up now for question and answer. Yes.
Question, how far was the 50% share from what you were proposed, or from what was being proposed in the beginning?
I can tell you we talked about a lot of different options. I don't know if it's about how far we are. It's about finding the perfect fit. And the 50% share made sense since we're all in this together. And through some hard work, compromise on each side, we came up to the 50-50 share.
Sir, do you have any idea of a ballpark dollar figure on that?
Yeah, there's a little, it's interesting. I do want to talk about that process actually, because both the city and county of Denver, as well as the airport coordinating committee, have very sophisticated experts who spent a lot of time trying to answer the question, well, what is development worth out at Denver International Airport? The short answer is that we believe that over the lifetime of this deal, and this is a lifetime deal, it doesn't have an end date, it's in perpetuity, you're looking at hundreds of millions of dollars in tax revenue, thousands of jobs, and that's very significant. And I think Carrie Kennedy might actually have a specific number, which is why she just ran up here from the front.
We are modeling that the tax revenue share will depend on the pace of development. So the more development, the more revenue that will be shared by both sides. We're anticipating somewhere between $170 and $260 million in revenue over the first 30 years.
And that is Carrie Kennedy, Chief Financial Officer and Deputy Mayor of Denver.
I'm sorry, Ms. Kennedy, if you can just clarify, 170 to 260 million over the first 30 years total, that's the split? That's the total, that's the amount that would be split, but again, we'll share whatever comes in. So the value and the timing of the development will drive the tax revenue that will be shared.
Any others?
Kathy.
Okay, go ahead, Kathy.
Is there any, I guess, location of this looks to be north of 72nd Avenue, is that correct?
This is what we call inside the fence of DIA. The heart of the Aerotropolis is Airport City, so you've heard us refer to Airport City. And so the IGA speaks specifically to the land that's inside the fence of DIA, and what we're modifying is those restrictions are the agreement within the fence. So it's whatever's inside DIA is what we're talking about.
Okay, so anything inside DIA property boundary is good to go under this agreement?
Not everything. I mean, how best to answer that question?
1,500
Yeah. So we do, the agreement is that we're amending the agreement to allow for 1,500 acres of, away from the term accessory use. So it could be a commercial park, could be manufacturing, but we have a bank of 1,500 acres that DIA can now use, or use as discretion to develop within the fence.
Is it contiguous?
Not necessarily.
And I have another one after that.
I just want to add a couple things about that. There's a lot of little nuances to the deal, and a lot of it has to do with kind of how our discussions evolved over time. Because people are going to ask the question, well, where's the 1,500 acres? Well, the shorter answer is that we believe that the market's going to help us determine that. And so that's not a predetermined area, it's more like a predetermined amount. And that's actually really important. Back in 1988, folks envisioned, no commercial development north of 72nd Avenue, which is why you're seeing the 72nd Avenue as the dividing line, because that was defined in the 1988 agreement. There's a couple other points that I think are really important. Number one is, I know folks have concern about noise and things like that around the airport, which is why there is still restrictions on residential development. So there's no residential development north of 72nd Avenue either. In addition to that, we had a lot of discussions about bioscience-related activities. As you know, another huge hub for job creation is the Anschutz Medical Center and the Fitzsimmons campus in Aurora in Adams County. And we wanted to make sure that still continued as the crown jewel for Adams County and Aurora, as well as the state of Colorado. And so we've agreed that any uses that happen would not compete with that particular development either. The other nuance is that the hotel room restrictions that are limiting the number of hotel rooms in that location to 1,000 until there's more built outside of the fence, so to speak, is also going to be remaining in place. And so that formula still stays the same. And so generally speaking, we're talking about commercial development with kind of some specific nuances. It's an interesting detail of the deal that maybe doesn't make a really good soundbite. But what I want you to know is that we were really thoughtful about trying to retain the best elements of the deal in 1988 and also realize the vision that Denver had for Aerotropolis at the same time. And that's why we think that's a really good balance.
All right.
Guess it's you, Kathy.
Go right ahead, Kathy.
We'll give you one more, Kathy.
All right, so what kind of backlog do you have of projects that you want to put in there?
You know what, this was never about any specific project or specific projects. This was about opening our region for business. And, we explained that to Adams County as well. But I can tell you that we had, over the years, since I've been mayor of Denver, over 4 years, had some inquiries that we really were concerned about moving forward with, even on an investigation level, because we didn't want to violate the IGA. This gives us the opportunity now to tell the region, tell the rest of the world that we're open for business. Any other? Thank you all very much.